Hi, and welcome to Panorays. Today we'll go over how to add suppliers in the platform. You're able to add a supplier in two different areas. One in the suppliers page under the handshake icon, and the second under the supplier overview page. Simply click the Add Supplier at the top right button and begin. You can first start by entering the company's name. The Panorays database has hundreds of thousands of companies, so it's pretty easy to search for the company that you're looking for. For some reason, if the company name does not show up, you can simply add your company in the drop-down, Create New Company. To get started, you would need to add a primary domain, and this is important if you're wanting to use the continuous evaluation or biannual evaluation to understand their cyber posture score. You can also create a company without a primary domain, and this is if you're just sending a questionnaire to this supplier or you're adding them in inventory. So you would add that primary domain, and once you hit create, that would create the company in the database, and it should take a few hours once you add the supplier to be able to see the cyber posture rating. If you do create a company, make sure that this is their primary domain and not any subdomain. So, for example, panorays.com instead of app.panorays.com. Next, you'd be able to select the portfolios you would like to add this specific supplier into. You can create more portfolios by going to Company Settings and Portfolio Management. This supplier is already in the default portfolio, and simply scroll down to the Business Information section. These are questions that help determine the inherent risk that the supplier poses to your organization. You can also edit these specific business information questions in the Settings and Business Information Management section. However, we do give you some default questions to help you tier your suppliers easily and efficiently. Once you start filling out these specific questions, you'll notice that the business impact on the right will automatically adjust depending on the answers to those questions. Business Information Management section under Settings, you're able to also define the types of questions. For example, if you'd like to add different renewal dates, or you can add files where you can drop agreements or contracts in. Then you're able to scroll down to the bottom and add the supplier contact. This is who you would be communicating with in terms of the, let's say, remediation tasks that you send, or if you're hoping to send a questionnaire directly to the supplier, this is the contact that would be filling this out. Next, you would simply choose the evaluation type. This depends on the contract that you sign with Panorays, of course, and you're able to see the current usage that you have for each license that you've purchased. There's also the inventory feature here, which wouldn't include any kind of cyber posture or questionnaire capability, but just a way to keep track of vendors and keep your entire inventory list within Panorays as a source of truth. Next, you'd be able to select the questionnaire that you would like to add. Select the questionnaire, you might notice something on the right-hand side here called relationships. Now, these are essentially tags within the questionnaires that flag certain relationships that you have with this specific vendor. For example, if they share confidential information, corporate data, if they have network access. There are specific questions that can be added on to the standard questions that are already within the questionnaire. So for example, there's 47 questions in the questionnaire, 31 are standard questions, and 16 are based on the relationship. Now, this is also configurable to you if you would like to create your own relationships. You can do that within the questionnaire template library by adding your own relationships in there, or even just the supplier relationships section. If you do have specific questions about relationships and how to use our standard relationships, please reach out to your customer success manager. You're able to preview the questionnaire, to see what the supplier would see. You're also able to preview the email of what the supplier would see when they receive this from Panarrays. Once you add the supplier contact, this should populate, and then you can also send this to internal contacts if needed as more of an internal questionnaire. Lastly, you're able to add the business owner here with the name, position, and email. The business owner would be from your company and would receive very high level updates of this vendor. For example, if you've approved this vendor, rejected this vendor, as in status updates, if the supplier has submitted the questionnaire, they would receive those high level updates as well. And once all the information looks good to you, you're able to add the supplier. Now, since this specific supplier was already in the platform, you notice I already have a cyber posture rating populating and the risk rating also with the business impact populating. Since I chose to send the questionnaire when adding the supplier, you'll also see in the questionnaires tab the due date, when this was sent, and I can automatically go through and send a reminder. I can change the due date, I can view the questionnaire. However, the supplier would receive automatic reminders to their email address every 5 days that our system sends out. Now, you may have noticed that there's other ways to add suppliers as well, one of them being the bulk upload option. This would be if you would like to add a bulk action of all of your suppliers, filling out all of the business information in an Excel format and simply uploading to the system. Alternatively, you'll also notice that there's the share intake form button here. We'll go over that in another video. That's how you simply add a supplier in the platform. If you have any other questions, please visit our help center or contact support or your customer success manager.